This is the free motion quilting tutorial for feather fans. This design is stitched by first starting with a series of feather shapes. I generally started with about 3 to 4, but you can do as many as you like. Then you're going to pivot and echo this, bouncing between each feather with a little echo. You can see I connect with the area between each feather, so that way the thread builds up a little bit and really makes the feathers stand out. To go on to the next cluster, simply branch off in another direction, and I really like to slightly bend the feathers around a little bit. I think it looks better that way. And then simply pivot and echo this. This is a pivoting design, so it works by simply creating a shape, pivoting and echoing it. So you're going to have a nice little bit of thread texture right there at the bottom where it's going to just darken ever so slightly. You can really see it now with these slightly bigger feathers. And I really think that this design does look better when it's a little bit bigger and not quite so tiny, because it gives the feathers a little bit more room to show off and take up space, and it really allows them to kind of show up on the surface of your quilt. When you get them too small, it can be really hard to see what exactly you're stitching. I really also like it whenever you kind of swirl and bend them around, like this set right here. They just look so beautiful on the surface of your quilt, and you can't really get that texture any other way. As far as bending and swirling them around, just start with one feather and just kind of give it a little bit of a bend, and then exacerbate that with all the rest of the feathers you stack next to it, just like that. Here's what the texture looks like after you've stitched it over the surface of your quilt quite a bit, and you can see how moving and flowing this design is. It's really gorgeous. And the nice thing is that you can stitch this on a large scale or a small scale. It's entirely up to you. It really will fit in any area of your quilt. But I think that this is really going to work best on a larger scale, quilting the feathers quite big and making the echoes fill, 2 or 3 inches with every pass. And that means that it's going to fill your quilt with a lot of texture, a lot of beautiful movement, but it's going to do so quickly and easily because the feathers move so fast and they cover so much space. Now, if you stitch yourself into a corner, it can be a little tricky, and that's why I'm including this end section in the video, so that way you can see how I kind of wiggle around and fill this area. And the biggest thing is just keep it consistent. Try and continue to create feathers and some sort of echoes, and if you have to, just simply stitch some back and forth lines that look kind of like echoes. And as long as the lines of quilting stay about the same distance apart, it'll continue to look good and fill your quilt consistently with the rest of the design. So here you can see I'm just kind of trying to wiggle in here, just going back, kind of back and forth. I kind of stitch myself into a corner, but that's not a problem because I can always travel stitch my way back out, simply stitching right along the lines of quilting that I did when I first got in there. So here we go. I'm going to work my way back out. I really filled in some tightly stitched lines right in there. And you don't really have to go that dense, but I just like it to be consistent. And then I just wiggle my way back out and come on down. So that's how I filled that little area. It's a little tricky, we bend and twist our free motion designs into spaces that aren't necessarily designed for them, but that's kind of what we do, just kind of make it work. So here's what it looks like whenever you finish feather fans. For over 250 videos on free motion quilting, including many more feathering designs, check out daystyledesigns.com.